You locked her out, but who is triggering those logins and why fake control?
I changed your bank and email passwords. You're locked out. My husband didn't even look up when he said it. I was standing in our apartment doorway, keys still in my hand, laptop bag slipping off my shoulder like I just walked into the wrong life. Before we continue, please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell for updates. That's my account, I said, trying to log in again, watching the error flash. Our account, he corrected, and you lost the right to it. Every dollar I earned, every client gone because he decided it was. Then my phone buzzed. A security alert. Unusual login attempt. Detected new device, new location. Not mine. I looked up slowly. He was already watching me, like he was waiting to see if I'd noticed. The silence stretched longer than it should have. Ethan finally set his phone down, slow and deliberate, like he was choosing his next move carefully. "You're not going to make this dramatic, are you?" he asked. Dramatic. I let out a short breath, almost a laugh, but it didn't feel like one. "You locked me out of my own accounts." He leaned back against the couch, completely at ease. "Because you've been careless. Money doesn't just disappear, Lila." My grip tightened around my phone. What money? He didn't answer right away, just watched me like he was measuring how much I knew or how much I didn't. That feeling right there was worse than anything he'd said. Because Ethan wasn't confused, he wasn't angry, he was prepared. "You've been acting different," he continued. "Distracted, missing details. I had to step in before things got worse." Before things got worse, the words echoed in my head, not because of what they meant, but because of how rehearsed they sounded. Like he'd said them already, just not to me. I glanced back at my phone, reopening the alert. The location tag flickered for a second before disappearing. Not our city. Not even close. My chest tightened. "Ethan," I said slowly. "Who else has access to my account?" His expression didn't change, but his fingers tapped once against his knee, quick, almost invisible. "No one," he said. Too fast. Too clean. And that's when something inside me shifted. Because this wasn't about control anymore. This was about something he wasn't telling me. I set my bag down by the door, deliberately this time, and stepped further into the apartment. "Okay," I said quietly. One word. Calm, measured. Ethan frowned slightly, like that wasn't the reaction he expected. I met his eyes. "Noted," I added. A pause. Then, just enough to make him stop breathing for a second. "But I believe you forgot one thing." His expression flickered. Just for a second, but it was enough. Because whatever he thought he had under control, it wasn't as complete as he believed. And for the first time since I walked in, I wasn't the one at a disadvantage. He acted like nothing had happened. The next morning, Ethan was already in the kitchen when I woke up, pouring coffee like it was any other day, like he hadn't just cut me off from my own life. "Morning," he said, casual. I stood there for a second, watching him, waiting for something, an apology, an explanation, even tension. Nothing. "Morning," I replied, matching his tone. That seemed to relax him. Just a little. I moved past him, grabbing a mug, my mind still replaying the night before. The lockouts, the alert, the way he watched me instead of reacting. "You think about what I said?" he asked, sliding a cup toward me. I nodded. "Yeah, I did." He leaned against the counter. "And?" I took a sip, steadying my voice. "You're right. I've been careless." That was all it took. His shoulders dropped, tension easing out of him like he'd been waiting for me to fight back and was relieved I didn't. "Exactly," he said. "I'm just trying to fix things before they spiral." Fix things. I nodded again, quieter this time. "So what happens now?" "I manage everything," he said. "For a while." Everything. The word hung there. "My clients?" I asked. My payments? I'll handle it, he said quickly. You don't need to worry about that. That answer came too fast. Too confident. Like he'd already planned it. I set my mug down slowly. And how do you know what's coming in? Who owes what? He hesitated. Just for a second. I've seen enough, he said. I know what I'm doing. But he didn't. I could hear it in his voice, the gap between what he claimed and what he actually knew. And that gap mattered. A lot. Later that afternoon, I sat on the edge of the bed trying my email again. Still locked. I tried recovery. The backup email had been changed. Security questions? Updated? Even my phone felt different. Apps logged out. Settings adjusted. Like someone had gone through it piece by piece. Not random. Intentional. Careful. That same alert from last night sat in my notifications, half buried now. I opened it again, staring at the details. New device. New location. Early morning. Before I got home, my stomach tightened. That meant this didn't start when he told me. It started before. That night, we sat across from each other at dinner. The air felt heavier now. Less pretending. Can I at least see the accounts? I asked. Ethan didn't even hesitate. No, just like that. Not until I trust you again. Trust, I let that word sit between us. You don't trust me with my own work? I asked. It's not just work, he said. It's responsibility. Something about the way he said it like he'd already decided. The outcome made my chest tighten again. Then my phone buzzed. Another notification. Brief, almost gone. But I caught it. Unusual login attempt detected. Again, different time. Different device. Same problem. I looked up slowly. Ethan was already watching me. Not confused. Not surprised. Watching. The second alert changed everything. I didn't react right away. Didn't even blink. Just locked my phone and set it face down on the table like it didn't matter. Like I hadn't just seen the same warning twice in less than 24 hours. Ethan kept eating, calm, controlled, but his eyes flicked up to me for a fraction of a second. Checking, measuring, waiting. So I gave him nothing. The next morning, I decided to test him. Small, simple, precise. I think Greenford Media is late on a payment, I said casually, leaning against the kitchen counter. Ethan froze. Not visibly, most people wouldn't catch it, but I did. His grip tightened slightly around his coffee mug before he set it down. Which one? He asked. Greenford, I repeated, watching him carefully. A beat? Too long. I handled that already, he said. There it was. Clean, confident, and completely wrong. Because Greenford Media didn't owe me anything. Not now, not recently, not at all. Which meant one thing. Ethan wasn't managing my account. He was pretending to, or worse, covering something up. I nodded slowly, like I believed him. Okay, good. But inside, everything was shifting into place. That afternoon, I left the apartment without telling him. No confrontation. No warning. Just grabbed my bag and walked out. The bank was only 15 minutes away, but it felt longer. Every step tightened something in my chest I couldn't ignore anymore. By the time I sat down across from the branch manager, my hands were cold. I think my account's been compromised, I said. That was all it took. Within minutes, the tone changed. Professional turned serious. Serious turned urgent. Can you confirm these transactions? The manager asked, turning the screen toward me. My stomach dropped. Transfers. Multiply. Large amounts. Dates from the past week. All of these were authorized through your credentials, he added. Email confirmation and two-factor verification. My voice came out quieter than I expected. I didn't authorize any of this. The manager's expression shifted again, this time to something sharper. Concern. There's more, he said carefully. My chest tightened. What? He hesitated just long enough to make it worse. There's a business loan under your name. The words didn't land right. A loan? I repeated. A significant one. Everything inside me went still. I had never taken out a loan. Not personally. Not professionally. Which meant someone else had. Using me. And there was only one person who had full access. Ethan. But something didn't add up. If he was trying to hide it, why lock me out? Why not keep things normal? Unless he wasn't hiding it. He was buying time. I left the bank in a daze, the weight of it pressing down harder with every step. By the time I got home, Ethan was already there, waiting. You went to the bank, he said the second I walked in. Not a question. A statement. I didn't bother denying it. I dropped my bag and looked straight at him. You took out a loan in my name. Silence. Then, he smiled. Small. Controlled. You're overreacting. Not denial. Not confusion. Just dismissal. And that was enough. He wasn't even pretending anymore. That smile stayed on Ethan's face just a second too long, controlled, deliberate, like he'd already decided how this would end. You're overreacting, he repeated, quieter this time. I stepped further into the apartment, closing the door behind me. Am I? He shrugged, turning away like the conversation bored him. You don't understand how any of this works, Lila. That's the problem. That, again, you don't understand. But now it sounded less like dismissal and more like a script he was sticking to. I watched him move around the kitchen, opening cabinets, pouring water, normal movements, except for the tension in his shoulders, the way he kept glancing at me when he thought I wasn't looking. He was watching for something. Panic, fear, a reaction he could control. But I'd already moved past that. Because this didn't start today. Weeks ago, things had felt off. Small things at first, charges I didn't recognize, emails that felt slightly out of sync, like responses I didn't remember sending. Nothing obvious, nothing I could prove, but enough to make me careful enough to prepare. I talked to the bank, I said, breaking the silence. Ethan's back stiffened. Yeah, he replied, not turning around. They flagged multiple transfers, I continued. Large ones. Now he turned. Slowly. And, he asked. I held his gaze. And they were all authorized through my accounts. Pals? Then he nodded, like that confirmed something for him. Exactly, he said. That's what I've been trying to fix. Fix. The word almost made me laugh, but I didn't. Instead, I tilted my head slightly. So you took out a loan too? To fix it? That landed. I saw it. A flicker, quick, sharp, gone just as fast. But it was real. You're twisting things, he said, his tone tightening for the first time. I'm protecting us. Us? I let that sit there. Then I said quietly, you moved the money, didn't you? He didn't hesitate this time. Yeah, he said. All of it. All of it. That was the mistake. Because the number he was thinking of wasn't real anymore. Not for weeks. And he had no idea. I nodded slowly, like I was absorbing it. Good. That word stopped him. Good? He repeated. For the first time, there was something under his voice. Uncertainty. I met his eyes, steady. Yeah, I said. Now I know exactly how far you've gone. Silence filled the space between us. Heavy, different, because something had shifted. Not in his control, but in mine, and he felt it. I could see it in the way his posture changed, just slightly. The way his confidence didn't sit as easily anymore. Lila, he started, slower now. What did you do? I didn't answer, because right then, there was a knock at the door. Sharp. Sudden. Ethan turned toward it, frowning. Were you expecting someone? I didn't move. Didn't speak. Just watched him, because this was the part he never planned for. The knock came again. Louder this time. Ethan hesitated, his hand hovering near the handle, like opening that door might confirm something he wasn't ready to face. Ethan Carter? A voice called from the other side. Firm. Official. He opened it. Two people stood there, one in a dark suit, the other holding a badge, just visible enough to make the situation unmistakable. We need to speak with you regarding financial activity linked to accounts under Lila Carter's name. The air in the apartment shifted instantly. Heavy, final. Ethan glanced back at me, something sharp flickering across his face. There's been a mistake, he said quickly. My wife, she can explain. But they were already stepping inside. It didn't take long. Documents were pulled up, transactions listed, dates, times, authorization logs, every detail laid out with precision. Ethan had opened a business loan under my identity, transferred funds into external accounts he controlled, used my email and authentication systems to approve everything, locked me out to delay alerts, disputes, and intervention. Every move was calculated, but not clean. Because the timeline didn't match, the activity spiked after I lost access. Authorization logs traced back to devices I never used, locations I'd never been, and most importantly, a pattern that showed control had been forcibly taken, not shared. My earlier precautions, separate account, redirected payments, external monitoring created a gap he couldn't explain. A gap that turned suspicion into proof. Ethan looked at me like he was seeing me for the first time. This is insane, he said, his voice tightening. Lila, tell them. I held his gaze. Steady. Unmoving. You said I did this to myself, I replied quietly. The room went still. His confidence cracked not all at once, but enough to show what was underneath. Fear. Real, unfiltered fear. And for the first time since this started, he wasn't in control of anything. Everything unraveled quickly after that. The loan was frozen. The accounts flagged. An official investigation opened within days. Ethan was charged with financial fraud and identity theft, removed from his job within weeks, cut off socially as the situation spread through mutual contacts. Funds he moved were traced, some recovered, some not, but the damage followed him, legally, professionally, personally, and it wasn't temporary. For me, my records were cleared after verification. The bank restored access, my name separated from everything he'd done. And the moment that process began, I filed for divorce. No discussion, no hesitation. 3 months later, I sat in a quiet cafe, my laptop open in front of me. New account, new systems. Every layer secured by me. A notification popped up. Payment received. Direct, clean, mine. I stared at it for a second longer than necessary. Not because of the money, but because of what it represented. Control, ownership, freedom. Outside, people passed by like nothing had happened, like everything was normal. And maybe for them it was, but for me, everything had shifted. Because the moment he said I was locked out, he thought he had taken everything. What he never realized was that I had already made sure there was something he could never touch.
He locked her out, but who is triggering those logins and why fake control?